Ash Ketchum has certainly had some great Pokemon teams over the years. However, there are some that can definitely be better. And so today, I'll be looking at all of Ash's former teams and making a few adjustments and changes for the better. Real quick, remember guys, this is only my opinion, so don't rage in the comments. With that being said, let's begin with Ash's Kanto team. Ash Ketchum's new Kanto team will consist of Pikachu, Charizard, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Pidgeot, Tauros, Butterfree, and then later on in the Orange Islands, Ash would go on to capture Snorlax, Lapras, and Rhydon. Okay, now so looking at this team, it's pretty similar to his original. Pikachu, Charizard, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur are all staples to Ash Ketchum, so they'll stay as is. However, I was considering evolving Bulbasaur into an Ivysaur, to mirror the Pokemon trainer in Smash Bros. Or actually even fully evolving Bulbasaur into a Venusaur, because there was actually some leaked promotional art for Ash's final team for the Kanto League. But I decided to keep him as a Bulbasaur because I didn't want to overdo it with this team. This was Ash's first ever region, so I didn't want to make him unrealistically OP. Pidgeot remains on this team because it set the tone for Ash's love for regional birds. However, a small change I'd make is I'd make him fully evolve into a Pidgeot by the Kanto League. Tauros is just a solid Pokemon overall, and I'd still want Ash to have 30 of them. For all the Stampede memes. The stories of Butterfree and Lapras would remain the same, where they go on to emotionally get released. And I'm obviously keeping the monster Snorlax as Ash's big capture in the Orange Islands. But I also think Ash capturing a Rhydon would be great as well. It was the first ever Pokemon created, so it would be pretty fitting for Ash to use one. It's got a great design, and I would definitely prefer it over the likes of Kingler or Muck. Plus, Rhydon would add 2 unique typings to this Kanto team. Now, how about we do Ash's Johto team? In Johto, Ash would use Pikachu, Totodile, Quilava, Bayleaf, Noctowl, Heracross, and Espeon. As we all know, Ash's real Johto team was heavily lacking firepower and was even somewhat underdeveloped. I think that's why he ended up using a lot of his older Kanto mons for his big battles in Johto. But this new team here would definitely be able to stand on its own. I'm keeping Totodile, Heracross, and Bayleaf all the same, because they were great as is. Noctowl will also stay the same, because it was a great way to show off the new shiny mechanic added in Generation 2. I would like to evolve Cyndaquil into Quilava earlier than the Sinnoh League though. I think evolving him during or after the battle with Jasmine Steelix would fit perfectly, because that was an incredibly tough battle for the little flaming hedgehog. Finally, we'll also add an Espeon to this team, because I find it to be absolutely criminal that Ash never used or had an evolution. Eevee's arguably the second face of the Pokemon franchise, and Espeon would be the perfect fit here as it would add a ton of firepower to Ash's team. Plus, we never really got to see Ash use a Psychic type, beyond Mimey in that one Journeys battle. But also, Ash having an Espeon would be a perfect contrast to Gary's Umbreon, and it would have added a nice wrinkle to their Johto League matchup. I think on their own, this team could have done some solid work for Ash, and possibly gotten him just as far in the Johto League. However, I don't know if this team is enough to beat Gary. Now onto the Hoenn team. For this team, Ash will use Pikachu, Sceptile, Swellow, Crawdaunt, Zangoose, Flygon, and Kirlia. Sceptile and Swellow were absolute chads in the Advanced series, so they'll remain as is. I decided to evolve Corphish, as it definitely seemed like it was powerful enough to evolve into a Crawdaunt, and I was pretty surprised to learn that the writers didn't end up having that happen. I think having Corphish evolve in Ash's 8th gym battle against Hoenn would be pretty fitting. Zangoose may seem like a Pokemon out of left field, but honestly, when you think about it, it's a pretty fitting Ash Pokemon. Plus, I think it could lead to an epic rivalry between it and Team Rocket's Sir Viper. Flygon also joins this team, because of course he does. We all remember Ash using a Flygon in the Jirachi movie, and I, like many others, was sold on that Pokemon right then and there. Flygon is a unanimously loved Pokemon, plus it seems like the perfect first Dragon type for Ash to use. Finally, I've got a Kirlia on this team as a late edition reserve, and this may seem like a funky pick, but hear me out on this one. I could see Ash capturing a Ralts or Kirlia pretty late into this series, however, then I would have it evolve during the Battle Frontier arc, but not into Gardevoir. Nope, instead I think Ash would use a Dawnstone on it and have it evolve into Gallade. Now this would be cool. It would also be a great way to hype up the new Sinnoh region, and Ash could even use Gallade against Greta or Annabelle. Alright, now for Sinnoh. Ash's original Sinnoh team was great, but I do think a few changes would help. So with that being said, Ash's new team would be Pikachu, Torterra, Infernape, Staraptor, Floatzel, and Frostlass. Torterra, Infernape, and Staraptor all stay the same. I mean, Infernape's literally the best written Pokemon ever, and as for Torterra and Staraptor, I only really ask that they pick up a few more wins throughout the series. Meanwhile, I think Buizel definitely should have evolved. He was cool as a Buizel, but he could have been awesome as a Floatzel. I think Buizel evolving either against Maylene or Crasher Wake would be ideal. Then, we have the new addition to this team, Frostlass. Now, this is obviously predicated on Ash not capturing a Glalie in the previous region, but I think Frostlass would add a fun spin to this team. The Ice and Ghost types aren't commonly used by Ash, so Frostlass could be really unique. The Ghost typing always adds for some fun gimmicks in battle. Maybe Frostlass could even have the Cursed Body ability to help cripple some opponents. Ash could have captured that Frostlass that was messing with him, Dawn, and Brock during the Blizzard episode back in Sinnoh. I was also really contemplating giving Ash a Luxray, which, let's be honest, would be wicked cool, but Ash doesn't use any electric types, so the Electrifying Lion was cut from this new Sinnoh team. Now for the Unova team, and oh boy, this one's gonna take some work. Ash's new Unova team will look like this: Pikachu, Dewott, Darmanitan, Crocodile, Scrafty, as well as Leavanny and Braviary. Now this is one of the biggest new teams for Ash, and it makes sense to have a fair amount of new Pokemon because Unova introduced a ton of new great ones. However, in the actual series, I feel as if Ash caught a bit too many Pokemon, leaving him with an overcrowded team that was heavily underdeveloped. Crocodile and Leavanny were definite highlights of Ash's original Unovan team, so they will remain as is. I decided to scrap both Pignite and Snivy. They were both kinda just mid. Instead, I decided to evolve Oshawott, but only into a Dewott. It seems more like an Ash-type Pokemon, more than Samurott would. It just seems more mobile. Also, I evolved Scraggy into a Scrafty. This is a Pokemon I really like, and I so badly wanted Ash to have one in Unova. I've also decided to swap Ash's Unfezant for a Braviary, and I don't think anyone's gonna be super mad about this decision. This is the first time in the video where I don't have Ash using the regional bird, but let's be honest, Unfezant is kinda just boring when compared to the awesome American bird. And finally, the big new addition to this team would be Darmanitan. Ash almost always uses Monkeymons, and they're often pretty good. I think I'd want this Darmanitan to be a Zen mode switching Darmanitan. That would definitely add for some fun, unique, and strategic battles. I also must note that it would be nice to see one of Ash's fire types not have a tragic, throbbing backstory. Instead, Ash could just capture one in the desert resort. This new Unovan team would certainly be an upgrade from his original, and would honestly be a lot more fun. And there's no doubt that this team would body Cameron regardless of how many Pokemon he brings. Now for Ash's Kalos team. Another team that was incredibly powerful, and it was Ash's first ever fully evolved team. Ash's new team for Kalos would be Pikachu, Greninja, Talonflame, Noivern, Trevenant, and Aegislash. Now as you can see, I only made 2 changes to this team, but boy are they big. First up, let's talk about Aegislash replacing Goodra. Now yes, Goodra was great early on in Kalos, but everything about it was kinda just rushed. Then she went on to leave for like 50% of the series, only to come back and get bodied. So instead, Aegislash will come in to replace Goodra as the 3-stage powerhouse of this team. And the Sword and Shield Pokemon will be around for the whole series, and its stance change ability will certainly lead to some fun battling strategies for Ash. The other big change here is I'm swapping Trevenant for Hawlucha. I don't know, I was just never a big fan of Hawlucha, and he was kinda just mid overall in my opinion. I think Trevenant would be a horrifyingly cool Pokemon for Ash to add to this team. I could see it using moves like Leech Seed, Curse, Forest Curse, and Horn Leech. Now would this new team be a big upgrade from the original? Not really. But it would just be something new without a ton of flying types. Now for Ash's regional champion Alolan team. His original team was amazing, but his new team will consist of Pikachu, Incineroar, Lycanroc, Decidueye, Golisopod, and Komodo. First things first, I fully evolved God Rowlet into a Decidueye because, why not? I just think it'd be really cool. Next, I switched out the 2 possibly legendary Pokemon from the original team. Golisopod is the new addition to this team because, again, it would be really cool. Plus, it's honestly such an Ash Pokemon. I could see Ash capturing a puny Wimpod who is incredibly shy, meek, and scared overall. But Ash, being the Chad that he is, believes in it, takes it through some tough training, and then ultimately evolves it into a powerhouse. I'd have loved to have seen Ash's Golisopod square off with Guzma's in the Alola League. And the final change of this team is adding Alola pseudo-legendary Kommo-o. I don't know, I just feel as if Kommo-o is a bit of an overshadowed pseudo, so joining Ash's team would definitely help out with that. Plus, maybe Ash could capture that Totem Kommo-o from the Ultra games. And I could certainly see Ash using his OPZ move. After looking at this team, I gotta admit, this may be the only team in the video where I actually prefer the original to my new created team. Now, finally for the last team, and I'm gonna change it up a bit here. Instead of a multi-regional Journeys team, I'm gonna create a Galar-specific team for Ash, as if it was just another normal regional series. So for this new Galar team, Ash would use Pikachu, Rillaboom, Corviknight, Centiskorch, Dragapult, and Urshifu. This team was certainly my favorite to build. Rillaboom is definitely the Galar starter that is the most Ash Ketchum-ish to me. Meanwhile, Corviknight is one of the coolest regional birds ever, so this is certainly one Ash would capture. Centiskorch is here because I would love to see Ash Gigantamax it and use a flaming Shenron in battle. Dragapult's on this team because he's awesome. And ever since Kalos, Ash has had a big thing for powerful dragon types. And as you all know, Dragapult is as good as it gets. Finally, I added Urshifu. I honestly think Kubfu would be a perfect Ash Pokemon, and I could see this hypothetical anime series going through the Isle of Armor arc at a similar time that it was released to the Gen 8 games. I think Ash and Kubfu would probably train at the Tower of Water, resulting in Kubfu evolving into a Rapid Strike style Urshifu. Overall, this team is incredibly powerful and actually really well balanced. Well guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Please drop a like on this one and comment what new teams you would create for Ash. Thanks guys and have a good one.